Welcome, friends,
to the How-To Heretic.
I am Uncle Mark.
And I'm Uncle Dan.
and I am Uncle Doug.
And this is your user's guide to life on the outside.
That's right. Leaving religion is the first step into a larger, better world.
But it can also be a scary world. Things work differently now.
Never fear. That's why we're here.
We're your audio uncles. And with help from good friends and experts in all sorts of fields.
We're going to share the stories and seek the knowledge to build a great life.
After all, you only get the one that we know of, so you better make the most of it.
Guys,
Whoa!
we're here. We did it. We made it.
Hooray!
Oh my God. It's been a hell of a week. I'll tell you
It's been
that.
a hell of a week. Here we are at episode 175. We still, we weathered the storm, let's say.
Yeah.
It's a new dawn. It's a new day.
Our
new
very
life.
first
New life.
podcast not under Donald Trump.
That's right. So we're so happy that this is a real thing, and here we are with you all, and we got a fun show.
I'm enjoying it
Yeah.
already.
Dan, you got a segment you're doing.
Yeah, I'm going to go back into our past and do a reading from the Book of Mormon.
Yeah, the only book that matters. And then I'm going to talk about leatherworking.
Yes, you are.
And I'm gonna talk about some of the greatest hits of the past 4 years that hopefully we don't ever have to talk about again.
But we probably will. So
Probably.
it's a fun show. And just so you remember, we have an unofficial group that we are not officially affiliated with. That is over, our friend Joe is running on Facebook, the How-To Heretic Hangout, I believe. So you could go there for some conversation, some companionship, and fun.
Yeah, and good support, actually. I keep seeing posts where somebody's like, I'm having a hard time. And the love and support that embraces that person is awesome. So it's a really cool place to be.
So if you need a shoulder to cry on, or you are a shoulder for someone else to cry on, maybe head over there and support your fellow heretics. And our friend Vern has been doing yeoman's work, splitting up the show into segments and posting it all over on YouTube. You can find it there at the How-To Heretic. And this week, I did my calculations with my calculator. Half of our 525 segments and interviews, half of them are posted over there so far.
Share them with your friends.
Yeah, so you can share those around. If your friends can't handle a whole show, send them a segment. Milk before meat. So thanks, Vern, for doing that, and let's do it.
Let's do a show.
Uncle Mark,
Hosanna.
Hosanna.
Wow. To God and the Lamb.
To God and the Lamb. Yeah.
Nevermo listeners might have heard of the name Nephi, perhaps in the context of a joke told at a conference a few years ago that we need less Wi-Fi and more Nephi.
They did say that, didn't they?
Wait, who said that?
I forget.
The Mormons in the general conference?
Yeah, it was a 70s or something like that.
Yeah, one of the under 70-year-old
The
youngsters
joke's
made a
on
crack.
them. I got my Nephi through my Wi-Fi.
Well,
so.
and as I'm sure Uncle Dan will explain to us, Nephi is not only a prominent character in the Book of Mormon, he's 4 books of the motherfucking Book of Mormon.
Yeah, well, and non-Mormons will know him as Nephi.
That's right. We'll get to whether or not Nephi is 4 books, or whether it's more than one Nephi. That's part of this whole thing. I'm
already hating this.
Yeah. Oh no, it's so bad. It's just gonna be just bad the whole way through. Because look, we've waded into this bubbling pond of raw sewage that is the founding document of the cult of our birth a few times.
Yeah.
To members of the Mormon Church, there is no more important or more perfect book from here to the planet Kolob. But the Book of Mormon, as we've pointed out before, will tell you nothing about Mormon theology or give any insight into why they live and think the way they do. But man, it sure is a book. Like a super long, incredibly boring book.
Of all the books written by man, This is one of them.
This is certainly one of them.
Yeah.
For those who don't remember our previous forays into the quagmire, here's a little refresher. The Book of Mormon starts in ancient Jerusalem. God tells one family to get the fuck out because shit's about to hit the fan there. But instead of telling them to run away to Egypt or Persia or something, God teaches them how to make a boat. And this is one hell of a boat, like seaworthy and capable of crossing the entire Atlantic Ocean. And off they go to the Americas, and that's where the American First Nations people came from.
Yeah.
Seafaring Jews.
Yeah.
So that all happened. Well,
600 BCE.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. It didn't actually happen, but it happened in the book. And we know that it's 600 BCE because of what is said much later, and that is the story that I am going to tell today. Because, friends, when Jesus died in the Bible and then came back to life and then just kind of left,
Yeah.
well, I hate spoilers as much as the next guy, but our friend Joe Smith knows exactly where he went. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. He had a connecting flight, let's just say.
Exactly. Just a quick aside to our listeners, as a word of warning, as a caution, do not waste your time reading this book.
Please don't.
It's really bad writing. It just so bad.
All it will do is make you mad
Yeah.
that you wasted. You could have read something else. You
Yeah,
could
we're
have read
doing
the
it
Penthouse
professionally.
Forum.
We're doing it as our job. There's no reason to do it just out of your own fun curiosity.
Yeah.
As an example to why you shouldn't read this book, note that the King James Bible is almost exactly 3 times longer than the Book of Mormon, which tries really hard to emulate the style of the King James.
Mm-hmm.
But where the Bible uses the phrase, "it came to pass" 727 times, the much shorter Book of Mormon uses that same phrase 1,404 times.
Twice the number.
It came to pass averages once in every 5 verses.
The book could be summarized as "it came to pass, the end."
Right. And let's point out that phrase doesn't actually have a meaning or a useful purpose. It's just filler. And it's literally 2.5% of the words of the book.
It's just reminding you that the story takes place in a sequential timeline.
Right.
Right, which you're just assuming anyway.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't need it. And also what happened was...
Yeah.
Anyway,
And
so
then...
Our reading today comes from the book of 3rd Nephi, which is about 3/4 of the way into the Book of Mormon. Now, anyone who's a little familiar with the Book of Mormon will recognize the name Nephi, as Uncle Doug said, and might know that 1st Nephi and 2nd Nephi are the first and second books in the Book of Mormon, named after the main character in the story of the Exodus from Jerusalem. But this isn't that Nephi. This is another Nephi, 600 years later. And if that isn't confusing enough, allow me to share with you the little preamble at the beginning of 3rd Nephi, which seems to be there to help us keep everything straight. It says, "And Helaman was the son of Helaman, who was the son of Alma, who was the son of Alma, being descendant of Nephi, who was the son of Lehi, who came out of Jerusalem in the 1st year of the reign of Zedekiah, the king of Judah." I hope that clears everything up. If not, here's some further clarification from 2 verses in. "And Nephi, the son of Helaman, had departed out of the land of Zarahemla, giving charge unto his son Nephi." That's right. Okay, everybody got it? Good. Moving on. Sidebar. Doug, do you want to remind us about the apologetic that you once tried to dazzle Mark into believing into this book again with?
Which one was that?
It was there's so many names apparently made up in the Book of Mormon, but as Uncle Dan has demonstrated, most of them are either repeats or just slight variations on a theme.
Right.
And they're like, no one can make up this. Joseph couldn't have made up the Book of Mormon. Can't be done because no one can make up that many names. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fucking bury Mark with this. And I threw it at him, and he's like, time me. Zebediah, Zebedibah. Bop. Then it just like I stood there just deflating. Like, God damn it.
Chihai, Falahai, Hananhai.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You make 10 base names.
Anti-gravity Lehi.
Yeah, and then you just add 2 letters to the front and back of each one, and you just keep,
You just keep going.
Yeah.
Anyway, third Nephi opens like a QAnon fan fiction dictated to the My Pillow guy by Sean Hannity looking into a hat. The good guys are despondent because they have faithfully believed all the prophecies about amazing stuff coming, and the bad guys are finally getting bad guys finally getting what's coming to them, and none of it seems to be coming true. On top of that, the bad guys who don't follow the prophecies have now declared that anyone foolish enough to believe in all that stuff will be put to death. Skun-dun-dun. The evil non-believers were like, see, the election happened and you guys and your guy didn't win. The lawsuits all went nowhere. The Electoral College voted for our guy like they were supposed to. Then the Congress didn't stop him, and neither did the vice president. And now inauguration is about to happen. Now, this was extremely worrying to the good people of Q. The Nephites. So, on the eve of the inauguration, Nephi, son of Nephi, son of Helaman, son of Helaman, son of Alma, son of Alma, descendant of Nephi, bowed down and prayed to the Lord. He said, please, don't let the evil Marxist globalists come into power and kill us all who believed in the prophecies. And the voice of the Lord spoke to him in a message from 8chan, which said, and this is a quote from the book, behold, I come unto my own, to fulfill all things which I have made known unto the children of men from the foundation of the world, and to do the will both of the Father and of the Son, and of the Father because of me, and of the Son because of my flesh. And behold, the time is at hand, and this night shall the sign be given. And Nephi apparently understood what the fuck that all meant, and was very excited. I'm sure you guys followed that just fine.
Yeah, completely.
I'm sorry, I blacked out there for a second. What?
Right? Anyway, Nephi grabbed his bullhorn and his fur hat with horns on it and painted his face and went into the world to watch the shit hit the fan. And because this is fan fiction and not reality, it all came true. That night, the sun went down, but it stayed light like daytime all night long. Which sucks if you want to get a decent night's sleep, as anyone who's ever been to Iceland in midsummer can tell you, but is a really good sign that something crazy is happening and very difficult for the bad guys to deny. And all the bad guys rescinded their order to kill the good guys and had to admit that they were idiots and that Q had been right all along, and they were really afraid because they had been real dicks. So, the sun rose on the next morning, and they all knew that this meant that the Son of God had been born on the other side of the world. So, hooray, I guess. Not sure how much that changes things all the way over here in the Americas, but Jesus, that's pretty great, even if it is 7,000 miles away. Also, a new star appeared, so, that's neat, too, I guess. Now, mind you, this is the Book of Mormon, so immediately after this miraculous night, a bunch of people started explaining everything away and saying that these weren't really the signs, or as the Book of Mormon puts it in what, I shit you not, is one single sentence. And it came to pass that from this time forth there began to be lyings sent forth among the people by Satan to harden their hearts to the intent that they might not believe in those signs and wonders which they had seen, but notwithstanding these lyings and deceivings, the more part of the people did believe and were converted unto the Lord.
It's almost too clear.
It's right.
The writing.
Right? Yeah.
It's like
Joe
Hemingway.
Smith, it is. It's too to the point.
Yeah.
Maybe get a little flowery with it.
Dress
Have
it
some
up a
fun
little
with
bit
the language.
for us, won't you?
Yeah, no. Joseph Smith did not suffer from an overabundance of brevity or clarity or just writing ability in general.
Listen, punctuation's a bitch when you're chiseling it into a gold plate.
Right?
Yeah. And for Never Mormons out there, the first draft of the Book of Mormon, when it was taken to the original typesetter to print, had no punctuation.
Oh my God!
There was not in the whole manuscript. There wasn't a single period or a comma.
Now, I just want to point out another apologetic while we're doing this. There's a Mormon apologetic that "and it came to pass" is a single glyph of Reformed Egyptian.
Right.
So and when we read it in English, in ye old timey English, it seems rather cumbersome. But for the writers of the Book of Mormon, it was just a little chink chink. Okay. Then after "and it came to pass," if you listen to the rest of that sentence that Uncle Dan read, tell me how there's some kind of brevity in the writing of this book.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And let's not forget that all of this was chiseled into one of the heaviest metals known to man and then carried around by Joseph
and not
Smith.
a very heavy, but not a very large book.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Joseph Smith did not, so yeah, there you go. Joseph Smith wrote all that. So Nephi and some righteous buddies went out and they were like, hey guys, let's all be good, okay? And for the most part, everybody agreed. And at this point, Joseph clearly ran out of plot and just vamped for a minute. Everyone was at peace, but then some people were wrong about the law of Moses for a second, but then they got that straightened out, so that was okay. So there was more peace for a while, and everybody's pretty cool. And
this brings up something that I think is really important, Dan, that a lot of people don't really put together with how shabbily the book is written, is that he was just making it up on the spot and saying it out loud. Right? He was vamping. He literally, he wasn't reading anything he'd written. Right. He was just saying it through a curtain to his stupid friend who was writing it down on the other side.
And as it turns out, that is a terrible way to write a book. We'll get to more of that. But suddenly he came up with Gadianton robbers.
Yay!
He remembered he had bad guys from the last book. So there you go. He's got some guys living in the hills. That's kind of like a plot. So there are a few chapters of wars between the Nephites and the hill people robbers. But if you were hoping that these would be exciting, well-written wars, oi, you do not know this book. It's literally, they fought, and it was bad. And then another year passed, and then they fought again. And this is a fun little side note in all of this. The Gadianton robbers weren't just attacking the Nephites. They also attacked the other Book of Mormon bad guys, the Lamanites.
Wow.
Now, these are the descendants of the first Nephi's brother, Laman, way back at the very beginning of the book. The Lamanites were evil, so God, I'm not making this up at all, had cursed them with dark skin, which, yikes. But now we're closing in on the end of the book, so we needed some more yikes. So Joseph Smith does not fail us on that point. The Lamanites, seeing common cause with the Nephites against the robbers, turned good and joined up with the Nephites. And they were accepted, and everybody was really nice and kumbaya about the whole thing. And guess what? A miracle! Because the Lamanites were nice now and repented of their evil ways, quote, their curse was taken from them, and their skin became white like unto the Nephites, and their young men and their daughters became exceedingly fair, and they were numbered among the Nephites and were called Nephites.
Oh, dear.
And that's the most recent edit of the book. That's not the part that was expurgated from the original for being too racist. That's the part they kept.
That's the one that's still in.
That's still there, baby. Yeah. So fun, right?
Yeah.
We're having fun here, people. Then you get 3 more chapters of the Nephites, including the newly bleached Lamanite brothers and sisters, fighting against the robbers. It's again alarmingly boring. Just shocking. No human interest, no context to get engrossed in, just fighting, and then not fighting, and then fighting again. And then that's all over. And suddenly, out of the blue, the guy who's writing all of this introduces himself. It's Mormon. The guy the book's named after. Why are we learning this now in the middle of a story, in the middle of chapter 5 of a book? Fuck you! That's why. It's almost like Joseph Smith just literally ran out of gas entirely. The poor guy.
What's that hilarious scene in The Holy Grail where they're being chased by the monster and the animator has a heart attack and that's how they get out of it?
Right.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, it's like if you've ever had like an 8-year-old or 7-year-old describe to you a story they read or a movie they liked. And there's all this, and then they ran over there, and then those guys came back and they were bad, and so then he went back to his house. It's like that.
Yeah, it is like that. But it's so weird that just literally in the middle of a chapter with no reason for it, it's just like, and by the way, I'm the guy who's writing this. My name's Mormon. Hi.
Hello,
man.
When you're choosing a storytelling technique, the best way to choose is to all of them.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
So this is how we know, as you said, Uncle Mark, that dictating a book is not the best way to write.
No.
Now, this whole time, the book has been numbering the years since the big night of no light. Like, year by year. In the 13th year, there was peace, but in the 14th year, there was war, like that. A device that clearly Joseph just trapped himself into doing, and now he has to write a shit ton of filler, while on the other side of the world, Jesus is growing up and preaching in the temple and riding on donkeys and shit.
You know what's funny about that is the gospel writers didn't feel the need to fill in that period of time.
Right.
But Joseph Smith did.
Literally, they skipped all those years.
Yeah.
But Joseph couldn't figure out how to do that. So Joe has the Nephites win, and the Gadianton robbers all either forsake their evil ways and join the goodly Nephites, or they get punished, which I assume means killed. But now we're back to no story again. Because Joe has run out of bad guys once more. So he does what any good writer would do. He dives into construction and infrastructure projects. Which, that's true.
Infrastructure week.
He literally, new cities were built, old cities were repaired, highways were put in, and people had continual peace. So,
Oh my God, tell me more.
isn't that great?
This is written by the same governing philosophy as the fucking prequels.
Exactly. I was just going to say.
This is
More parliamentary procedure.
So suddenly the prequels
That's what I
seem
want
like
from Star Wars.
those prequels are starting to seem really well written to me as I read as I read this. So this has gotten us through to year 29. Aha! But what happens in periods of great prosperity? Rich motherfuckers. And then there's disparity between the rich and the poor. And that leads to contention. And the rich assholes think they're better than everyone else. And they start hoarding the wealth. And then that brings about institutional poverty, which led to less opportunity for education. And all of this, the building and revitalization of civilization, the blossoming of commerce, the economic explosion, the social stratification, the income inequality, and educational disparity between the rich and the poor, leading to wildly differing outcomes and contention between the different segments of society. And leading to the church breaking up because everyone but a rare few thought they knew better than the church. All of that happened in the space of 3 to 4 years. So, productive times, baby.
Yeah.
And it must be reiterated. It must be reiterated that this is the religion of Mitt Romney.
Right?
Right.
It's amazing to me. I literally read that part a few times just because it's kind of very woke. It's very anti-wealth and anti-rich and anti-blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that is not the church of today.
No, but so is the New Testament.
Yeah.
And, look at American Christians today. They're Creflo Dollar and Joel Osteen, and it's just ridiculous.
And all of them are seething in jealousy over the fucking hoard of gold that the Smaug of the Mormon Church is sitting on.
Exactly.
So there you go. I'm actually going to leave it here.
Oh no, go on.
Oh no, yeah, more.
No. There's actual plot coming. So next week, I'm going to bring you the exciting conclusion of Third Nephi.
Third Nephi Part 2.
When he actually starts to have a plot again. I think he found some uppers for the second half. So
all right,
that announcement, Dan, should have been accompanied rather than with trumpets, but with a slide whistle.
Well, we can't afford it. So
yeah, we don't want to get sued by big slide whistles. So look for Third Nephi Part 2 next week, everybody.
Woohoo!
If you still listen to the podcast.
That's right. Hey, Uncle Doug.
Hello.
I don't know if you know this, but I don't know if our listeners know this, but the three of us are all former saints.
That's right.
Yeah.
We grew up in a church that anointed each of us a saint. Just pretty much everybody gets to be one.
Self-beatified.
That's right. Latter day.
Auto-beatification, which I don't think it should be a thing.
It sounds sexy, though.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
It took me so long as a kid to understand that the latter day did not refer to ladders.
That's what I thought, too. It's like Jacob's ladder. We climb up to heaven. I don't know. Stupid.
Yeah.
It's a stupid name for a stupid church.
Brevity is not their thing.
No. As we've explored.
As my segment points out.
Well, yeah. I can talk a little about saintliness, fellas.
I would like it.
Yeah. So, as you guys know, and our listeners may know, I work over to the movie business, as we say here in Utah. You're
one of them Hollywood elites.
I'm a Hollywood liberal, and I guess an honorary Jew. Would I be? Because
well, you're definitely a pedophile. Right. I don't know if that makes you. Does that make you a Jew?
But it's like the Native Americans. We use the whole child.
Right.
Then we eat it and consume the adrenochrome. So,
yeah.
I work in the movie business, and I think I have mentioned once or twice before on the show that due to my hypersensitivity as a child and the quirk of being raised by panic-driven cultists, I actually worked on a horror movie before I'd seen one, with the exception of having watched the first 5 minutes of The Exorcist at my friend Brett's house before I ran home, through the dark and terror. And
right.
Yes, I'm a white guy from Salt Lake. Of course, I had a friend named Brett. I had loads of them.
Right. I
really couldn't handle horror movies at all. Of course, now during the pandemic, I think my husband and I are up to watching 3 a week. But this is now, that was then. So anyway, when I was 20, my friend wanted to go see Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. And I felt like I had enough hair on my chest to handle a big boy scary movie. I was wrong. It's kind of hilariously cheesy. You should look up the trailer. It's so cheese, but it fucked me right up back then. There's a scene where a fully skinless person emerges from hell through a blood-soaked mattress. I was not okay seeing that. And it's images like that have convinced good Christian parents not to let their young children watch films with such disturbingly graphic imagery of gore and human suffering.
Well, not that kind of film.
And if they're Catholic, their parents may protect them from such imagery on Saturday night, so when they confront it in church on Sunday morning, its nightmarish punch is unspoiled by Hollywood's crass commercial blasphemery.
Yeah, I was going to say, they'll let them watch snuff films about Jesus all day damn long. But.
Or, just, Marvel movies where shit's blowing up all over the place. So,
right.
Yea, verily, as I was researching good St. Peter the Martyr of Verona a few weeks back, he of serene countenance despite having a huge machete embedded in his skull, I was reminded of the ghastly scene from Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, when I saw images of one of Peter's saintly colleagues, that being Saint Bartholomew the Apostle.
Ooh.
Now, we have many times on the show discussed Catholicism's unique obsession with the morbid, the grisly, the ghastly, and the bloody. Its imagery and liturgy are like the elevator doors in The Shining, cascades of blood and horrendous images and descriptions of torture and sadism that make anything Clive Barker ever dreamed up seem like child's play. Their obsession with the gruesome...
Including the movie Child's Play.
I did a little double entendre there. How about? But that wasn't Clive Barker, of course. But their obsession with the gruesome murder of the unkillable demigod they worship and their claim to consume his actual blood and body every week. Yeah. If you stand back and forget how normalized the Catholic religion is in society and culture for a second, take another look at that, it's pretty fucking shocking practice to me. But out of all that comes the idea that only through suffering can one come to know God. Check out episode 64 about Mother Teresa to see how that's worked out for people. And so those who suffered greatly in the defense of the faith came so very close to God that's in that suffering that they are rewarded with a semi-godhood after death themselves, that being sainthood.
Yoo-hoo!
And the saints are confirmation for young parishioners of the truth of the faith. Look how they suffered without ever renouncing their faith. How could they have suffered so for a lie? Look at these gruesome pictures and statues and try to deny the truth for which they died. Here, have a drink of a 2,000-year-old Jew's blood. See? Feel better now? Until you suffer as they do, what right have you to question the faith? So, that brings us to Bartholomew the Apostle. We first meet Bartholomew as one of Jesus' 12 apostles in Matthew, Mark, and Luke in the New Testament, and then we either meet him by another name or his replacement without explanation in the Gospel of John as Nathaniel. We've talked a bit before on the show about how the Gospels themselves do not tend to jive up very much. Some scholars say there were two different people. Some say they are different names for the same person. And the Catholic Encyclopedia helpfully says they are the same person whose first name was Nathaniel and last name was Bartholomew. So just shut up, okay?
Let's not forget that there is precedent in that damn book for all the things, including the same person, including people being two people, people being the same person with different names, and even, people just changing their names midway through the thing. Like there's it's all possible.
Yeah, like
anything, all is possible with the Lord.
I can't remember which episode it was, but when Doug did like the four nativities, and they're four totally different stories.
Yeah.
Right. It's bananas, and it's no different with people, as I will demonstrate. So just remember things like this name incoherence about one of Jesus's 12 best friends when you hear people saying there is 100% solid proof of the existence of the historical Jesus. They can't even agree on the facts of the 12 people who they claim were eyewitnesses to his life.
Right.
And there's going to be more of that.
Just if you want to gotcha, just say name the 12 apostles.
Yeah.
And then when they name Nathan, say what about Bartholomew?
And they'll go bleh. So Bartholomew seemed to be sort of a middling apostle, solid on defense, but never really put any points on the board. The most notable thing from his time with Jesus seems to be his friendship with the apostle Philip. I think we all agree friendship is important, so good job, Philip and Bartholomew. But it isn't until after Jesus' big magic trick of pretending to die and flying away to heaven, or as Dan said, to Guatemala, that Bartholomew's story really gets going. There are claims that after the crucifixion, which, remember, I always like to point this out, included a bunch of dead elders rising from their graves and wandering around Jerusalem, an odd little detail that nobody ever seems to want to explain from the pulpit. Bartholomew became, like his resurrected master, a wandering evangelist. At least a couple sources claim he preached the gospel in India, an impressive distance for him to have traveled, but most other scholars dispute this as highly unlikely. What seems fairly certain is that someone named Bartholomew did bring the gospel north and east to Armenia. Bartholomew traveled there in the mid-1st century with another apostle, Jude, or was it Thaddeus, or was it Jude of James, or Jude Thaddeus, or Judas Thaddeus, or maybe just Lebbeus. Again, the historicity of Jesus hits an iceberg pretty quickly when you start looking into the apostles. Anyway, these two, or 8, or whoever they were, made it to the wild mountains of Armenia, where Bartholomew preached his gospel of Jesus. Now, Armenia is a very special place in the hearts of me and Uncle Doug, right? Having having traveled there some time ago under some pretty whacked out circumstances, only to be treated with such an embarrassing level of hospitality, we felt like they'd mistaken us for rock stars.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a super cool, fiercely independent place with a cuisine I would describe as hostile. But they do claim to be among the
I
oldest.
imagine it to be largely goat-based. I'm not sure why.
It's. I'm sure Armenian listeners are going to punch me in the face for this, but it was kind of frightening. And again, we were pretty young guys, so we didn't have a lot of life experience. But
And to be fair, they were under the yoke of the Soviet Union and at war with Azerbaijan, so probably
Right.
not their best foot forward that day.
yeah, but it was a little frightening. Anyway, they do claim to be among the oldest Christian societies, having become so in the 1st century CE. And they credit Saint Bartholomew and Saint Thaddeus, or whoever it was, for that, as they are the patron saints of the Armenian Apostolic Church. So good job, Thaddeus and Bartholomew. Except,
great.
and this is where the blood comes in, the Zoroastrian Armenians of the 1st century didn't yet hold this weirdo wandering Jewish preacher with the high regard their modern cousins do. Oh my no. It seems the two managed somehow to convert Polymius, the king of Armenia, to their new Jewish messianic religion. The king's brother, Astyages, was having none of it. Never mind that there is no record of a king named Polymius in Armenia. Facts be damned. So Astyages made quite a show of dispatching Bartholomew in a city nobody can find called Albanopolis. The best guess is that maybe if it existed, its ruins might be in Azerbaijan. He was either crucified upside down in the fashion of St. Peter or beheaded. Either method has been proven effective for being the gateway to sainthood.
Right.
But it's what happened before that for which poor Bartholomew and or maybe Nathaniel is known today, and that is that he was skinned alive. Flayed, as they say in the parlance of the time.
Sure.
And this, dear listeners, is where I met poor Bartholomew in all his hellbound, Hellraiser 2 glory when I was poking around for images of St. Peter the Martyr. There is an incredible sculpture of him in the Milan Cathedral, sculpted by Marco Diagrate. It's a masterpiece of Renaissance anatomical understanding and sculptural drapery. Anatomy, because of the amazing denuded fleshiness the artist managed to capture in stone, and drapery, because Bartholomew is wearing his flaccid, removed skin draped around his meat like a toga.
Oh my God.
It is an extraordinary, hellacious, fleshy nightmare rendered in marble.
What's it
Did
called,
he look?
Mark?
It's the Saint Bartholomew the Apostle in the Milan Cathedral. You should.
Did he look in the mirror and say, "I'd fuck me"? Would you fuck me?
And apparently, this sculptor was a student of Michelangelo.
Oh my God.
So it's really fantastic
Okay, I
work.
just looked it up. It's horrific. It's crazy and
It's
interesting.
amazing. It's kind of beautiful. So while Diagrate's figure might be the pinnacle of artistic renderings of the skinned Bartholomew, it is far from the only one. Michelangelo included him on the Sistine Chapel ceiling, kneeling on a cloud and holding his drooping skin in one hand.
Yeah.
It's believed the twisted face of the skin is actually Michelangelo's self-portrait, interestingly enough.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
That's a hell of a way to portrait yourself.
Yeah, well, he hated the job, right? He wasn't a painter. He hated the job,
Right.
But the Pope made him do it. So maybe that was that grimaced face is his commentary on the job. In the Church of San Luriano in Colombia, a painting shows Bartholomew tied to iron hoops on a table, the top half of his skin hanging over his lower anatomy as blood gushes in lifelike detail. Matteo de Giovanni's 1418 painting in the Museum of Fine Arts in Budapest shows a blazing red Bartholomew wearing his skin like a model with a fur stole posing on the runway. In Wame Huguet's 15th century altarpiece, a mildly irritated Bartholomew stands tied to a standing rack as two men exert themselves, yanking the skin of his chest and back downward like they're trying to remove a wetsuit. Even modern artists like the bad boy of the British modern art scene, Damien Hirst, have been inspired by the gruesome but fascinating tableau of Bartholomew's martyrdom. Hirst's sculpture, Exquisite Pain, is both alarming and gorgeous, much like Diagrate's 16th century marble. And while we're on the subject of Diagrate's Renaissance masterpiece in Milan, it turns out none other than our old friend and fellow atheist Mark Twain gazed upon it in person. And he had this to say: "The figure was that of a man without skin, with every vein, artery, muscle, every fiber and tendon and tissue of the human frame represented in minute detail. It looked natural because somehow it looked as if it were in pain. A skinned man would be likely to look that way unless his attention was occupied with some other matter. It was a hideous thing, and yet there was a fascination about it somehow. I am very sorry I saw it, because I shall always see it now. I shall dream of it sometimes. I shall dream that it is resting its corded arms on the bed head and looking down on me with its dead eyes. I shall dream that it is stretched between the sheets with me and touching me with its exposed muscles and its stringy cold legs. It's hard to forget repulsive things." He had a way with words, didn't he?
Yeah, wait till he sees Hellraiser 2.
Well, maybe we're so desensitized to gruesomeness because of things like that.
Right.
I think that's probably true.
But, he had a way with words like most Marks do, of course. But what about the relics of Saint Bartholomew the Apostle? I know everyone is begging not to know. One claim is that his body, in whatever state, was given to the city of Daras in what is now Turkey by the Byzantine Emperor Anastasius Decorus in the 6th century CE. Frankfurt Cathedral claims to have a bit of his skull, which is nice. And Canterbury Cathedral in England, to this day, venerates a piece of necrotic jerky they claim to be his arm.
Oh, wow.
Note to would-be Catholic saints, your quartering and dismembering will not likely end at the time of death. Be warned.
Right?
Lipari, a tiny island off Sicily, claims to have many of his relics in the aptly named Cathedral of Saint Bartholomew the Apostle, as was legended by Gregory of Tours. He claimed that sometime in the 6th century, Bartholomew's entire skinless body washed up on the island's shore. How they know it was him, who can say? Several sturdy men from the town were summoned to carry it to the cathedral, but were unable to lift him. Yet, when some small children of innocent age tried to lift his by then 400-year-old waterlogged corpse, they did so with ease. thus demonstrating the first of Bartholomew's weight-based miracles. For reasons unknown, the deceased saint liked teaching life lessons through bizarre feats of heaviness and lightness. It was his thing. So
that is the most horrific miracle I've ever heard of.
Yeah,
the miracle of children being able to lift a de-skinned corpse.
Yes.
Like, why would you let your children near one, let alone ask if they can lift it?
If a de-skinned corpse washes up on your beach, get a long stick and push it back out.
Exactly.
Right. Some crimes are better left unsolved. It was long the habit of the good people of Lipari to take the solid silver statue out of his eponymous cathedral every August 24th, Bartholomew's feast day, and parade it about the town. On one such day, whilst processing down a hill, the statue became incredibly heavy. So much so the men bearing it had to put it down. They tried again to lift it and could not. They mustered one more go and failed. Moments later, a series of walls at the bottom of the hill collapsed. Had they proceeded as normal, they would have been killed. Heaviness saved the day. True story.
It's the miracle of the weak Sicilians.
Dan said it, I didn't. In World War II, Mussolini's fascists were taking valuables from some churches to fund the war effort. They seized the very same silver statue from the cathedral in Lipari to melt it down. But when it was weighed, it was but a few ounces, not even worth the fuel to melt it. Miracles! Miracles don't have to make much sense to be miraculous, I guess, guys.
That's magnets. How do they work?
And as always, we love to celebrate what peoples, places, and things patron saints are the saints of, and his list is a long one. Saint Bartholomew the Apostle is the patron saint of Armenia, as we discussed. That makes sense.
Sure.
Bookbinders, butchers,
Wait, is the bookbinder thing because
Leather.
he was unbound
Leather.
himself? Oh my, gross.
Yeah. Florentine cheese and salt merchants, which is extremely specific. Several towns in Italy, several towns in the Philippines. He is also the patron saint of neurological diseases, skin diseases,
Ugh.
plasterers, dermatology, leather tanners, leather workers, fur trappers, and twitching. He is the patron saint of the act of twitching.
Oh my God.
So,
It's just proof that no saint we ever make up is as silly as saints.
if we had all day on Sunday, we couldn't do it. So these early Catholic horror movies carved in stone kind of encapsulate why I find religion so fascinating. It's kind of equal parts horrible and wonderful, or maybe like 8 parts horrible and 2 parts wonderful. I don't know, but there's some madly weird and colorful shit mixed in with all the racism, the misogyny, the genocide, and the boredom. So religion's a good thing on balance, is what I'm saying, guys.
That's kind of the theme of our show for sure.
But I'm off the show. So anyway, to conclude, Catholics.
Oh my God. Catholic, can we just say Catholics are gross? Like they've had hundreds of years to get this right, thousands of years to get this right, and they've just gotten weirder and grosser.
I know I have so many Catholic friends and I adore them, and they're some of the the best people I know. And I just look at them sometimes and I'm like, do you ever think about this thing?
Yeah.
Do you ever just kind of take a step back and go, shit?
Yeah.
And when I bring up things like transubstantiation and blood drinking and stuff, they're like,
Right.
What are you going to do?
what are you going to do? The songs are good.
Yeah.
So there you go.
All right.
So that's
Well,
Saint
there you go.
Bartholomew, everybody. If you have a Twitch, you're covered.
Just you're in good hands.
All right.
All right. Let's move on. Boys,
Hello.
gents, fellows, we have some thanks to dole out.
We sure do.
And I want to do some doling. So,
All right.
Some people have just joined the ranks of the good people who want us not to starve during this pandemic.
Yes.
And have decided to give us some of their money. So, thanks so much to Dizit. Dizit? I don't know how that person says their name, but thank you very much.
But I'm sure they do, and we're grateful.
Yes, indeed. And thanks to I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite podcast on the Citadel. Thanks to Allison. And then we've got some we got some saints to dole out.
It's a very saint-heavy show.
Yes, indeed. So, since Uncle Mark, you are the resident expert on saints for the day,
Yes.
I'm going to start with you. Give a saint, if you will, to Devin.
Devin. Devin, your saint, of course, is Saint Sir Pistolot of West Breckenridge. And, of course, Saint Sir Pistolot is the patron saint of journeyman taffy pullers. And of course, mutineers, and any and all signed first edition hardcovers of the autobiography of the Italian supermodel Fabio.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
That is good
those are
stuff.
rare, and good luck if you can find one.
Yes, indeed. And there was a bit of a snafu, and last week we may have sainted the wrong person. So just to make sure that we're on the right foot, Uncle Doug, will you please give a saint to Cosette?
Hosette?
Cosette.
Cosette. All right. Cosette, your saint is the famous and well-known St. Thomas Aquarium, the Moist. St. Thomas Aquarium is the patron saint, of course, of the Marianas Trench. Anglerfish, obtuse angles, and snow angels. So, yeah,
Nice.
Okay.
there you go.
Lovely.
Those are all cuddly
Lovely.
things.
And I'm going to give a saint to Alec. And your Saint Alec is Saint Blonkers of Yonkers, the saint by the taint. And Saint Blonkers is the patron saint of inflatable rafts and polluted waterways, and the patron saint of novelty baked goods.
Oh, I don't know what those are, but they sound wonderful.
You know what
Is that like a penis cake for the bachelorette party?
That's just the scratching the surface, baby.
Oh dear God, there's a whole world of genital confectionery out there.
Yes, indeed.
Excellent.
So thank you guys so much. We do, if it is not in your abilities to give us your money, which is totally fine. This is a free show after all. The other thing that you can do is give us 5 stars. Go to iTunes, even if that's not where you listen. Give us 5 stars. Write a review. Why don't you?
Yeah.
Not unlike Zaiv, who wrote us a review that says the following: irreverent, hilarious, and thought-provoking. Uncles Dan, Doug, and Mark create a safe and fun environment to learn about the absurdities of the history of the world's religions. Analyzing a spectrum of well-known, completely baffling religious organizations, they give you the freedom to consider for yourself what your beliefs truly entail. So good, this is frightening, you guys. I have listened to the entire, as of this writing, 174 episode library twice since discovering the podcast in March of 2020.
Oh my God.
What are you doing?
Are you okay?
The quarantine is making us all insane.
Right. Okay. Well,
thank you so much for that wonderful
That's
review.
very sweet.
That's a lovely review. Feel free. If you write a review, listener, you may end up on the show. You never know.
Get competitive about it. Get competitive.
So yeah, beat the other guys out.
Yeah.
And write us a review. It just helps us get the word out to all of the peoples, and we sure do appreciate it.
Yep. And let's move on. Well, Uncle Dan.
Yes.
I think why we have such a celebrated podcast.
And it is the world over.
It's celebrated, in almost 2 continents, I think. So anyway, and the subcontinent. So I think what people love about our show is it is so esoteric in nature, in that it has nothing to do with anything that's going on in the contemporary world. Right. And I think that it feels like it's great to take a break from that because religion doesn't really have any bearing in modernity, right?
Would that were the case.
What?
I believe that religion is still a problem, is still extant
The
in
hell
this
you
world.
say.
And might still pose issues. Uncle Doug, where do you fall on this?
Well, I'm trying to figure out how to retool my segment all of a sudden now that I realize the rules of the podcast. Well, dear uncles, let me just jump in. We're going to talk about some current events that definitely have a bearing on the content of our show. But let me just start with this. Ding dong, the douche is dead. After 4 interminable and increasingly deadly years of corruption, cruelty, stupidity, and corruption.
And mass death.
The vile...
And corruption.
And more corruption. The vile venal vermilion virus vector that has plagued our land, both figuratively and literally, has at long last exited center ring and returned to the swamp from which he came.
Yay.
So tired was he of all the winning, what with after losing the popular vote twice, losing the House in 2018... losing the Senate and the presidency in 2020, being impeached twice, banned by Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, Twitch, Spotify, Shopify, and even Pinterest. And
I never went to his Pinterest page.
I know, I wish I had.
Kind of bummed.
They sold 12-foot long ties.
To see what his Etsy fucking offerings were.
And after having failed in over 60 lawsuits to overturn the election results in a single solitary county, and failed to overturn our democracy by force, the worst man this country has ever elected slinked out of the damaged and occupied capital to spend what I hope is a long and miserable life as a shit golfer and a perpetual defendant. So, bye-bye.
Yay.
But before we say goodbye forever, I thought we should
Die mad, motherfucker.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Die
right.
painful. I thought
In
we should
jail.
take a look back at some of the bit players that we've covered on this show in what was this 4-year nuclear-armed episode of Hee Haw. So today, let's return to my not at all backed by popular demand segment, Heretics in the News. Let this be the last time we dredge up some of these characters, but probably not.
Okay, please.
Please be gone. Let's start with one of the last fools to remain on the raft of Medusa as it sinks beneath the waves, Mike Lindell, owner and CEO of MyPillow. It bears mentioning that I covered a Monsieur Lindell back in March of 2019, when in episode 76, we discussed his life story and rise of his pillow empire. We were the first outlet to cover Lindell in any depth before he became an ignominious national figure. In that episode, I very correctly predicted that we would see much, much more of this moron. I could never have predicted the context of what was to follow, but nevertheless, where's my Pulitzer? Look, I'm not greedy. I will settle for a Peabody, a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Country Music Association of America, or even a Daytime Emmy. Hell,
Yeah.
I'll even take Susan Lucci's if it's available.
That's a deep cut.
It's a deep cut.
That's a deep all my children cut. Did I get that? Is that the one she was on?
Yeah, that's right.
Fuck if I know.
Yeah. Our mother was quite fond of that show, so for some reason we knew all too much about Susan Lucci.
Yeah.
Until early 2019, Lindell was only known for being that creepy dude on late night television with a big cross on his neck, selling bags stuffed with three different sizes of hypoallergenic, antimicrobial polyurethane foam cubes.
That sounds exactly like Jesse the Body Ventura. You buy my pillow, get a good night's rest.
He really does.
Yeah.
Basically, he was schlocking a cotton sack of various and sundry highly flammable foam cubes dubbed as My Pillow. Before My Pillow took off, Lindell spent many years bouncing around different ventures before settling on cocaine and crack. Not surprisingly, after years spent sleeping on the street, he figured what the world needed was a good pillow. Unsurprisingly, his business had been plagued with accusations of false advertising, overstating the health benefits of his pillow, and general shoddy business practices. These shenanigans should have been enough to prevent such a tool from entering American politics, but this was, emphasis on was, after all, Donald Trump's America.
Yeah, I was going to say, those sound like qualifications for politics in America.
Yeah.
Up until very recently.
He's a self-made man. I think we
Sure.
have to give him that.
Sure, for now. His business success and extremely in-your-face Christianity garnered him a speaking slot at the 2019 Conservative Political Action Committee, basically a venue for young conservative white men to discover how many other people think Mein Kampf is underrated.
Right.
In the speech...
I think you got to hand it to Hitler.
Gotta hand it to Hitler.
One thing that he did get right... ...
In this speech, Lindell made waves by proclaiming in his goofy voice that Trump was, quote, the greatest president in history and chosen by God. Guess who noticed that? Well, before we proceed, it was at this point that we talked about Lindell and rightly predicted that a Muppet this insane was going to find plenty of space to operate in a Trump administration. Little did we know how insane this was all going to get. Never one to let slavish sycophancy go unrewarded, Trump invited Lindell to speak on June 27th, 2020, at, of all places, a coronavirus press conference. At the time, there had only been about 126,000 deaths in the U.S. so far.
And simpler times.
Yeah, and the fact that 126,000 seems like a small number speaks to the moment we are still living through. And the fact that of all people on God's good earth, that Trump chose to speak on those deaths was Mike fucking Lindell speaks to how seriously he was taking this tragedy.
Yeah.
In that press conference, Lindell said the following, quote, God gave us the grace on November 8th, 2016 to change the course we were on. God had been taken out of our schools and lives. A nation had turned its back on God. I encourage you to use this time at home to get back to the Word, read our Bible, and spend time with our families. Thanks, Mike.
That's good information on the virus.
I
Thanks
think,
so much.
why waste time with having like a virologist talk when you can get that kind of medical advice?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lindell was then...
From a guy who did all the crack before he found Jesus.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
He only found Jesus because he ran out of crack.
Yeah. Pulled himself up by the crack pipe.
It was then discovered that Lindell was one of the people who had paid for the legal defense of Kyle Rittenhouse, who shot peaceful protesters with an AR-15 in Kenosha, Wisconsin in August.
Oh, he did? He contributed to that?
He contributed to that.
I thought that was just that fuck Rick Schroeder.
No. Lindell made sure to throw some pillow money at the guy.
Beautiful.
As the coronavirus continued to ravage our country, those around Trump realized that there was $1 to be made, and of course Lindell was right in there. Lindell began promoting a plant extract called oleandrin as a straight-up cure for COVID-19. I don't know if you guys remember this.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Saying,
it's poison.
It's poison, exactly. His quote was, "This thing works. It's the miracle of all time."
Oh, God.
Oleandrin, as Uncle Dan hinted to a second ago, by the way, is a toxic cardiac glycoside derived from the poisonous plant oleander. So, there's that. I guess the thinking is that if you are dead, you don't need to worry about the coronavirus. It will
Which is true.
It has the added virtue of being true. It will surprise exactly no one that Lindell not only had financial stake in a company that produced oleandrin, but even sat on its board.
Ugh.
Lindell managed to get Housing and Urban Development Secretary and medical doctor Ben Carson to also hawk this quackery. God, I can't believe this era is over. It's unbelievable.
I still can't believe it's real. I can't believe it really happened.
So, yeah.
All right, and this brings us to the most recent, and please, Jesus, last chapter of this saga. After Trump's popular vote and Electoral College drubbing in November, Lindell took to Twitter and any microphone that would have him to call the election fraudulent, even going so far as to call for the arrest and imprisonment of voters in key battleground states. Voters, I know. Who had, by the way, already cast their votes, and the declaration of martial law. Lindell also railed against the Dominion voting systems machines with such alacrity that he finds himself almost certainly part of a wide-ranging defamation lawsuit by the company, and best of luck to them.
God, I hope they just fucking grind him.
Lindell even made an appearance at the White House on January 15th of this year.
Without a mask.
Without a mask, thank you. 9 days after the insurrection at the Capitol and 5 days before Biden's swearing in, carrying notes that were easily photographed by a journalist. Among the tidbits legible on the misspelled notes were the words, quote, "martial law if necessary," "impost martial law," and "insurrection act now." As a hint to future revolutionaries, never underestimate the value of a manila folder.
Right? Just put it in your pocket, dummy.
For God's sakes. Lindell did in fact have a meeting with Trump that day, but the requested martial law was never ordered. So farewell, you washed up Ron Burgundy. Do
you remember too that Trump in one of the coronavirus meetings, he appointed him like a vice chair of the coronavirus task force.
Yeah.
And said his factory is going to make,
I was going to include that, but you're
X
right.
million
yes.
PPE, and then like 3 weeks later, they're like, "Yeah, we can't make anything."
They didn't make any.
Then not
we're
one.
Pillows.
Yeah. They were going to. Well, there was obviously it was going to be a kickback to one of his,
of course,
of cronies. But at the end of the day, at least there would have been fucking masks. But even that fell through. Yeah,
they're not even capable of that.
Yeah. So goodbye. May you, like your schlocky pillow, end up in the dumpster of history forever. So, this brings us to the last of the motley crew I want to talk about, but unfortunately, unlike the other dingbat we talked about today, this will certainly not be the last time we discuss this. Back in episode 102, and on several occasions since, and just most recently in Uncle Dan's segment, we have talked about QAnon. And in episode 138, we talked about Trumpism as a potential cult. Well, just over 2 weeks ago, the Venn diagram of QAnon and Trumpism formed a perfect circle as our national capital was stormed by an angry, violent mob. So just for a little background, for those of you who don't know anything about QAnon, please turn off the podcast now and continue in your obviously charmed life.
Yes, walk into the mountains away from the city and never come back.
Just keep heading east.
Yeah.
Without going into too much detail, because as we'll talk about, this thing morphs and mutates on a near daily basis. But the gist of it is that there is a deep cover agent in the federal government named Q who is working in conjunction with Trump and various other forces of righteousness to out and eventually destroy a massive, widespread conspiracy of child-eating pedophiles that have infiltrated every level of our culture, from government to pop culture, from academia to civil society. Trust me, the explanation I just gave makes it sound eminently more reasonable than it is.
Well, tell me when you get to the part that is unreasonable. That all sounded real good to me.
This conspiracy has grown to include the Kennedy assassinations. Yes, there were more than one of them, but only one was faked. The moon landing, flat Earth, hollow Earth, gray and green aliens, lizard people, etc. I'm not kidding.
No,
for real.
It's all in there.
Yeah, as we've called this many times on the show, it is the unified field theory of derp.
Yeah.
Well, their motto is "Where we go one, we go all," and I think that applies also to how many conspiracy theories they believe in.
That's right. Why not bring them all on? And like you said, Uncle Dan, that conspiracy theory, which they abbreviate to WWG1WGA, was lifted directly from a 1996 movie called White Squall.
Which is like a movie where tons of young boys discovered they were very gay.
And very shirtless for most of the movie.
That's the case.
Along with the ubiquitous letter Q and the number 17, Q is the 17th letter in the alphabet, you will see this motto everywhere on Q merch. Yes, there is Q merch.
Yeah.
Not sure how merchandising fits into a supposedly secret conspiracy, but there it is. And just to be clear, I am only scratching the surface of all this stuff, believe me.
Yeah.
One of the most widespread beliefs is that Donald Trump, will lead his followers with the help of JFK Jr., not kidding, in a violent coup that will expose and overthrow the Pedivore conspiracy, and that will even lead to public
Did you
executions.
make that word up?
No, that's what they call these people, are
Pedivore?
Pedivores.
Oh, my God.
Oh my God.
So this will lead to public executions. This literal storming of the Capitol and violent coup is referred to as the Storm.
Yeah.
This is lifted from a popular poem by an unknown author. It goes like this. Fate whispers to the warrior, you cannot withstand the storm. The warrior whispers back, I am the storm.
I am the storm. You have to say a Batman voice. Or
I am the storm. I think you can see where this is all heading. If you go back and watch the footage of the January attack on the Capitol, you will see Q paraphernalia everywhere, along with all kinds of other troubling iconography.
Yeah, the guy that chased the very heroic officer who led them away from the Senate, George, I'm spacing his last name right now.
Yep.
The guy that was attacking him most directly was wearing a big old Q shirt.
Big Q shirt.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And nearly every fringe militia and white supremacist group in America today has found shade under the Q umbrella. So you can see the logos for such groups as the Proud Boys, the 3 Percenters, and the Oath Keepers, among many others, marching in lockstep with Q flags flying as they successfully stormed the capital of the United States of America. So, quite the low point in our history. How this could have been allowed to happen is going to be an ongoing question and subject of investigation for years to come. But why it happened is as clear as the glass dome over the flat Earth. For years, Donald Trump disparaged our institutions and led his followers to believe that only he could save the country, and any attack on him was an attack on them and therefore America. Fed a constant diet of lies and conspiracies, thousands of Trumpers/Q followers, now one and the same, descended on Washington, D.C. on January 6th, their marching orders already fully in hand. Trump would not take any chances, though, and on that morning he made sure his intentions and desires were clear to the heavily armed crowd. After 30 minutes or so of claiming the election was stolen from him, he said the following, quote, "Now it is up to Congress to confront this egregious assault on our democracy. After this, we're going to walk down there, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. We're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength. You have to be strong. And finally, we're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue. I love Pennsylvania Avenue. And we're going to the Capitol. We're going to try and give them the kind of pride and boldness they need to take back our country." In layman's terms, that's what we call incitement.
Yeah.
Now, we all know what happened next, including the fact that Trump did not, in fact, march with them.
Right.
To all those that rushed the Capitol, this was the storm.
Yeah.
You can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. You can imagine in those heady moments when the Capitol security collapsed, the vote count was halted, and those people found themselves walking unfettered in both chambers of Congress, Statuary Hall, and various legislators' offices, that it was really happening. The prophecy was coming true.
Yeah.
And this is where this becomes very relevant to our show. We've talked about so many cults that reach their zenith and reach their climax, often ending in suicide, often ending in violence. But here we are. The Q conspiracy theory had stormed the castle. The storm was here. But the storm began to blow out pretty much immediately. You could see it in the faces of the insurrectionists in real time, the dawning and troubling question of, now what?
Yeah.
We caught the
It's
car.
amazing.
Now what
Yeah.
do we do?
The only guy who seemed to have an actual agenda was the ubiquitous QAnon shaman, Jake Angeli, or Jacob Chansley, and his entire plan seemed to consist of literally shouting at the full moon.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the only one who seemed to know what he was doing.
Yeah.
Trump was not...
He also burst into prayer at one point.
Indeed
Yeah.
he did. That's right. Trump was not with them, and by the skin of our fucking teeth and through the bravery of a precious few, they did not get their hands on any legislators. Instead, they milled about, stole some property, defaced some statues, and then just kind of left.
And
Trump
pooed.
offered it.
They pooed in the corner.
Yeah, they took a shit here and there, pissed on
Yeah.
everything, and then just left.
Like you do.
Like you do. Trump offered a tepid call for peace, underscored with praise and love for all their heinous acts, but he gave no instructions on what to do next.
And reiterating the lie.
That he's right, the election was stolen, but he made no reference to Q, the storm, tribunals, or JFK Jr. The storm further deflated when only hours later, when Congress reconvened and finished the vote count, and then the very next day, Trump conceded Biden's victory, albeit never mentioning his name, and announced that he would leave the White House on January 20th to go play golf.
Yeah.
Right.
And sure,
A video which looks like he's got a gun to his head.
Totally.
Truly.
It was a proof of life video.
and sure enough, early on the morning of the 20th, only days ago, he boarded Marine One for one last time and flew the fuck away.
With pockets
Oh my
full of
God.
White House silverware, probably.
Everything he could get his hands on, absolutely.
It was one of the greatest moments of my life. If I had children, I don't think their birth would have topped this.
Right. Get the fuck out.
But you think about this from the perspective of his cult members. This is exactly what it would have been like if David Koresh had walked out of a burning Mount Verdon only to fly away and play golf.
Right.
Or if Jim Jones had passed out the poison Kool-Aid and then walked out of Jonestown to play golf. Or if Marshall Applewhite had passed out the poison applesauce and then walked out to go play golf.
Right.
Like, you just abandoned them.
Yeah.
You just went away. And then the arrests began. One after another from coast to coast, they began to hear knocks at their doors only to be greeted by legal authorities of the deep state with flex cuffs and handfuls of federal charges. And as if to add insult to idiocy, their dear leader refused to pardon any of them on his way out the door.
Yep.
So already online, I don't know if you guys have seen this, countless Q adherents are realizing that it was all a lie.
Yeah, I've been watching.
have we
I've been
seen
observing it. Yeah.
Yep.
It was my life
Yep.
the day after
Yeah.
the inauguration.
Oh,
That was my everything, my
Thoroughly
world.
enjoying it. These people have lost jobs, fortunes, friends, all to follow Trump and Q, and the storm never materialized, and their dear leader, who disdains them most of all, has abandoned them. Yeah. So that
The truth is that a lot of it was genuinely sad. A lot of
Yeah,
it was, like,
very sad. I took
hard to watch, and I had a lot of sympathy and empathy for them because they were literally abandoned by. Well, I mean, they were believing in a person that they didn't know who the person was, with no assurances.
in spite of
from-
a lifetime of signaling.
of being exactly who he is.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saying they're believing Q, which
Oh, right.
they didn't have any idea who Q was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then, this Trump that was just a nonsense human. I don't know. But man, I saw some videos of did you guys see the video of the woman just
Crying. You're right.
despondent,
Yeah.
begging Trump to like make sense of the world for her?
Is that the one that flew to the Capitol on a private plane and is now begging for A, a pardon, and B, donations for her legal defense?
No, she's her own fun little ball of wax. But this is just a woman who clearly just, I don't even know that she was there for anything, but just weeping and begging
Hysterical. Like she.
President Trump, please come back. We need you. And just like, because the entire contention of the Q conspiracy was Trump has a plan,
Yep.
trust the plan, and there will be, and there, there's this whole, he's playing 3D chess, so don't worry about
Yep.
it. everything looks like it's going the wrong way, but there's a plan. And if you just trust the plan, everything will be fine. And turns out there was no plan.
There was no plan.
And they imbued him not just with, managerial and political skills that he doesn't have. He had godlike status. He had a Messiah. He had a Messiah status.
Totally.
I mean, this is a Christian offshoot, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that this cult is obviously done. I think it's going to splinter into a million pieces, and I'll talk about a form it's already taken. But, this is the largest cult in American history and probably the best armed cult in world history. And we managed to get through, the storm with only 5 dead, which is terrible. But this could have been so much worse. This could have been...
I agree with that.
They built a gallows that looked to be functional. Do you know what I mean?
And now we see, they intercepted messages where they were tracking the legislators, and they knew they were in the tunnel, and they were going to try to block it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This could have... And if the National Guard had got there and it was a hostage situation with a dozen or so lawmakers, one can only, fucking shudder at what could have possibly happened.
Yeah.
But now, because what is derp may never die, some splinters of the Q conspiracy are already retooling, even going so far as to say that Joe Biden is in league with Trump, and the storm is still coming.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I saw somebody claiming that Biden was Q.
Oh, my God. Well,
oh my God.
As evidence
so
of this,
insane.
They say that Trump's nickname for Biden, Sleepy Joe, they're interpreting that as a hidden message that Biden is actually a sleeper agent.
Oh my God! Stop with this.
The note that apparently Trump actually left for Biden turns out to be a set of instructions on the next step in the conspiracy. So
it's brilliant.
This isn't going away. We witnessed in real time, and all of us glued to our televisions, a cult reach its suicidal moment, and it happened. We saw it.
Yeah. We were saying before we started recording, it is like unto the Great Disappointment, the Millerite.
Yeah, 1844 Great Disappointment.
Where literally they had a date when there was a hard out on this thing.
Yeah.
And it didn't come to pass. And now they're all just sort of left to either triple down, double down, quadruple down, whatever it is on this thing, or wake up.
Yeah.
And I've seen a number of posts, from Parler or from whatever, where people were saying, holy shit, this wasn't true.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like the whole time, this wasn't true.
I think there will be millions
amazing.
of people that will go through that.
I think there will be, a significant number that peel off and hopefully kind of live a saner, consume saner information and hopefully come back to something like a normal life.
Right.
But like, the Millerites that walked down off that hill in October of 1844, some left, but then out of that came two, I would say, terrible religious movements, which are, the Seventh-day Adventists and the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Right.
Like it's plastic, right? Cult belief can be very plastic. And so,
what's nice is that, like the Millerites, there another date has emerged when everything is going to get right.
March something, right?
And again, they'll have another moment when it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And they'll lose another significant number of their people.
Well, I never want us to be accused of being behind the times here. So this is a Heretics in the News subsection, because while we were talking,
Jesus God,
someone emailed me an article from the Houston Chronicle that the Texas GOP has adopted as their slogan, "We are the storm."
Oh my God.
That happened right fucking now. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah, the future of certainly the conservative movement in this country is very fucking grim.
Fuck
if
me.
They can't, and I don't know how they shake this off. There's no courage. There's no institutional courage to banish these people.
No.
And it looks like they might splinter.
Right.
At which point there will be, if they have a full schism, they're never going to win another election for 20 years.
Well, I mean, the scary thing is that in certain districts in the country that are so deep red, the fear, the only danger to those seats is constant primaries. So we may see some, and I don't think a majority, I think a very few, but we may see some Congress people in this country go even further down this rabbit hole because of those forces, that pressure.
Yeah, and I gotta just bring this up again, guys, that the person who was going to save the children of Earth from sexual enslavement and literally being on the menu from Jews and George Clooney or Tom Hanks and the Democrats or whomever is Donald Trump, a man who has constantly talked about wanting to fuck his own daughter, who walked was prideful about walking into the Junior Miss America pageant dressing room where they were minors, right? These were not full-grown women. These were minors, and who even commented on his infant daughter's lack of breasts when Tiffany was born.
And not for nothing, he's on video partying with Jeffrey Epstein, partying so hard that he looks to make Jeffrey Epstein somewhat uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Think about that.
He's fuck. This is just the craziest thing. I can't believe this is real.
But
don't worry, he's going to jail. They'll all experience that. That'll be their next fun thing.
Well,
let's hope so.
Let's hopefully put these two stories to bed forever and move on.
Sweet, stupid Doug.
Oh,
all right.
It's a beautiful dream, Doug. Don't worry.
Until the next cue drop, let's move on.
Yep.
Well, friends, that is it for this week's show.
Hey, we'd love to hear from you. If your skin is all off your body, send us a picture at howtoheretic.com.
That's right. Or you can leave us a voicemail about 3rd Nephi if you want at 903-88-HOW2, which is 903-884-6986. Also on Twitter at howtoheretic.
And as always, thanks to our incredible patrons.
And thanks to our Gaddy Anton robber, Cody Layton, for editing the show.
And thanks to all of you, friends, for tuning in.
Bye, friends.
So long.